You are listening to Pharmacy, IT, and Me, your informatics pharmacist podcast. All right, as with every episode, the intended audience for this episode are pharmacy informaticists right now. So today we're actually going to be talking about a product called Asana, and the reason why we're talking about this is because I've leveraged this tool in the past for building new products in the health system. So building a new product in the health system that has multiple areas of configuration can be daunting and would require a good way to track the build. One of the tools that would be helpful is Asana, and this is a free tool and it can be used to track tasks and project completions. Now, I just want to say I'm not being sponsored by Asana or anything. This is just one of the tools that I've used, and if you have a different project management tool, it's also great to use that. It's just these are some of the steps that I was able to use for this tool. At my last place of employment, our team started using this as a way to ensure that each product that was received in the pharmacy goes through all the build steps before it is made live in the system for ordering, dispensing, and usage. So just to give a general overview, we actually had a lot of steps for each product that came through. When a new product or a new NDC of an existing product arrives in the pharmacy, we have to go through multiple steps to actually ensure that it's built correctly. So the first thing is that we have to build the product itself out into the inventory management tool. And this is so that we can make sure the product is available and be able to be used. And once that's done, then we need to make sure that the product is assigned to the appropriate location. So we actually have a lot of locations. It's multiple facilities. So this part becomes very important to ensure that the right facilities are assigned the right products. And in addition to that, if the pharmacy product is an IV medication, we also have to ensure that the IV set and its corresponding min and max rates are built out in the smart pump library for our smart pumps. So we actually have smart pumps in our system where, there's a drug library that has like the min and max rates so that the nurses cannot give too fast of a med. And so that part has to be built out as well. We also have to make sure the IV set itself is built out in our electronic health record system. So in our system, the vial is actually treated as its own product. And then an IV set is a set that contains the vial, and then it also contains the diluent. So we need to make sure that that set of the vial and the diluent is built out. And after that is built, we also have to ensure that the order sentence and the order instructions, if you will, are built out appropriately for the provider to be able to click an order. Now, if the medication itself is something we store in the automated dispensing cabinets, we also have to ensure that the barcode is entered in the system for the loading process. So at my last place, we used Pyxis, and we had a configuration in Pyxis where if the technician is trying to load the medication in, they have to scan the med and they have to scan the machine's pocket to ensure that there's a match. And we have to make sure that that's built out so that they can load it into the Pyxis. We also have to make sure that the NDC is correctly entered in the system for when the nurses are doing barcoded medication administration. So this is at the point of care. When the nurses are about to give the patient the medication, they scan the medication to ensure it's the right medication. And in addition to all of that, we were also a 340B qualified hospital, and we had a 340B splitter software. So we had to ensure that we were in compliance with that and in compliance with the 340B drug pricing program. This required extra build to make sure that the product from our EHR correctly speaks with the 340B splitter software. And finally, we had to ensure that the medication had the correct charges attached to it. This includes ensuring that the proper Medi-Cal codes were entered, billing units were correct, and pricing is always updated for our GPO, AWP, and 340B pricing. So, as you can see, there is a great deal of steps involved, and it's easy to see how at any point this can fail. Just one of those steps being missing or not completed can cause the entire process to fail. So I was tasked to find a workflow that would work well, and I found that Asana was a tool that I decided to use because of its low footprint. It's free, and it has cloud capability and it has multi-user functionality. So let's talk a little bit about how I actually used Asana. So the first step was I created a team in Asana, and in this team, it would consist of any person that would ever touch the medication during that multi-step build process. This is not for like a specific item where if it's a PO med, then all the people that touch it here, or the IV meds, all the people that touch it here. It's actually any type of touching of the med that is possible. If there's a possibility that that person will touch that med, then we include them in the team. And then after that, I would create a template. And the template would be a project template. And this will include all the previously discussed tasks that I mentioned before. And this will be, included for the whole template so that every time there's a new drug, I can start a new project using that template. So once the project is created, we would remove the tasks that are unrelated to that specific medication that we received. So for example, if the medication is a tablet, I would go in and find the template task for IV meds, and I would remove all of them so that the only ones that are left are associated for PO meds. And so after that, when the tasks are all appropriate for the product, I would then assign each of the tasks appropriately to the team member. So the team member that's responsible for that task will get an email or a notification that they have been now assigned a new task. Asana was useful for our team because it allowed for each team member to independently work on their task and then mark them completed as soon as they were done. This actually allowed for a lot of asynchronous build, which gave us a lot of flexibility because instead of having to pass the info from one person to the next, we were able to all kind of independently work on it. So previous to the use of this, we had to wait on someone to work on the item, and then once they were done, they would email it to the next person. But this tool allows everybody to see the project and all the tasks that still needed to be completed for that project. So once the product tasks were completed by every team member, the project is closed out and archived for historical keeping, and then we get to move the product to an activated status. So we were able to leverage this tool and use it successfully in managing our, new medications that came in a lot. So, so if you guys like this episode, you guys can rate us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or anything that you guys listen to our podcast on. And you guys can also follow us on social media through Pharmacy IT Me on Facebook and Twitter, or through Pharmacy Informatics on Instagram. You guys can also email us at pharmacyitme@gmail.com, or my personal Twitter is TonyDowPharmD. We also have a website, actually, that I will be starting to write blog posts in the future called pharmacyitme.com. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode of Pharmacy IT and Me. And remember, technology is the tool, patient care is the goal.